And that's what the Rizzler does.
What if I just spit? What if I just spit? Oh. Left eye! Left eye! We're dancing! Welcome back to the Mocktown Podcast. Blah, blah, blah. We're here today with my beautiful co-host Declan.
How you doing?
And I'm Saxon.
Whoa!
We're here to talk about One Piece again.
So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll be on Spotify and YouTube and...
Yeah, we got denied from Apple Music.
Did we?
I think, yeah.
Alright.
So I'm going to put in another application for that.
Nah, fuck them.
Fuck them. Probably worth putting it on. But at the same time, we're going to start trying to expand our usage of other social platforms. We've started to get active on Instagram. You'll see me in comment sections of... I'll see both of us in comment sections of One Piece pages.
Just want to give a shout out to someone that commented on one of our videos last week. Shout out to Jacob X Klein. Yeah, we see you there.
I feel like it was a different name. I feel like there was Esper in the name when we first... I think it's been changed.
Esper? There was something...
Careless Esper or something like that. But hey, look, we're back. Shout out. This one's for you.
Yeah, you wanted our feet more in the videos.
You're getting a couple sock images.
Get the sock dogs.
We just want to get on your playlists.
Yeah,
bring new fans.
Sorry, I just need to find what it actually says. This person's description is male podcast enthusiast.
Mm.
We're males.
We are.
Yep. I find the coziest shows. Bonus points if the hosts kick their feet up, then share them to the public playlist so they get the love and views they deserve.
I would consider us cozy, and
very cozy. Look at me, legs up. You've crossed
legs up. I do cross my legs, but we move them. We get a little sock action in there. We're not going to show feet because, frankly, give us the money, and we might. But no,
it's break week.
Yeah.
We're effing around.
Sort of goofing around. This is going to be another episode of just sort of going through.
Hope this isn't
whatever
too dark.
we want.
No, it looks fine.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. I think we're good. As you know, last break week, I mentioned that we were going to do Enel's cover story. We didn't. We got to yapping too hard. And we will later in this episode again.
Oh boy, do we yap.
But first up, we thought we would have a look at the biggest and the best One Piece theories as provided by a top 10 from
we just Watch Mojo.
Let's do theories first. I've set myself up to do theories first. So we're just basically going to rank or like talk about a bunch of just One Piece theories that Watch Mojo consider the 10 best and most likely to happen.
We've got the big telly set up.
We do. So I did notice, and I don't know if any of our fans notice as well, it's not very comfortable or like smooth watching experience when I'm just like hunched over on my iPad. And I was like, I don't want to be hunched over anymore. So we've decided to set up something new. We now have a screen behind the camera.
Right there.
That we will be pointing to and talking about. But we will also obviously talk about what we're actually saying. So yeah, we're going to jump straight into it, I guess. The first theory WatchMojo has brought up, Crocodile is Luffy's mother, also known as Croco Mum theory. Now this
classic.
Is a big one in the community. This one's existed since I feel like I got into One Piece. It's probably existed pretty much since Impel Down, because the crux of the theory is in Impel Down, Ivankov, whose power can change people's gender and is also a pro-queer character, goes, "Hey, Crocodile, I know your secret." What's that secret? We don't know in black and white, but a lot of people assumed Crocodile is a woman or was a woman and changed their gender to be him.
Him.
Now, he is him.
Where we also teased this during the One Piece live action with Netflix.
Yes, well, I like to think of... So we know now that Crocodile has been cast as Joe Magnanello.
I cannot say his last name.
I'm not saying his last name correctly.
Cool guy.
Yeah, very cool guy.
Big nerd.
D&D, into One Piece.
DMT.
Oh, me too. I mean, I haven't... No, well, maybe soon. But
next break week.
This was sort of teased. So for those of you that don't know, in the flashback of Roger's execution, we see all 7 warlords.
Logetown?
Logetown. Yep, his execution at Logetown. I don't think it happened during the Logetown arc. I think it was like a further down into the story where you see it from the 7 warlords' perspectives. But there's one warlord, and at this point we've been introduced to all the warlords. There was one warlord there who was facing the wrong direction. That was Crocodile. So
Wait, sorry, live action?
no, in the manga.
Okay.
And then the live action used that panel system to show the warlords, Mihawk, Shanks, just a bunch of big name pirates at the execution, and one pirate was missing, and there was a character who looked sort of similar in design, I guess, outfit wise.
I feel like it was an outfit wise thing.
Was definitely a woman who played that character. But as we now know that it is Joe Magnanello or whatever his name is.
But that wasn't him in the
But that wasn't him in the first season. So obviously it could have just been a little
We're having fun.
Easter egg.
We're
Yeah, they're like,
acknowledging
let's
theories.
acknowledge the theory, but they're not going to touch it again. Maybe Oda will bring this back up. I think the relation or the secret that Ivankov knows would be interesting to find out, because it feels like weird to just be like, hey, you have a secret, and then never, show it, Chekhov's gun.
And then also, while I'm reading kind of this description on watchmojo.com/article/top 10 One Piece fan theories that could be true /OP10 One Piece fan theories.
Yep. Full URL. I like that.
So I meant to stop somewhere?
If you wanted to.
Who knows? I forgot about this, but how protective Crocodile is at Marineford.
Of?
Protecting Luffy.
That is true. So, yeah, the first part of the theory is that Crocodile was initially a woman. Now, I think that could be true. The next part of the theory is... another piece of evidence, I think, was Oda drew the 7 warlords as a kid, and Croc is very androgynous and can almost be described as like a bit tomboyish looking, more like a young girl dresses, or like who's just more comfortable in boys' clothes. So again, I think this is a legitimate theory. Now, the escalation of that theory being that Crocodile is Luffy's mum, as you've just said. He is protective of him. After
stabbing his hook through his chest.
Yeah, look, obviously there was a lot of animosity between the two during Alabasta. I think for me it's more probably likely that Crocodile was protective of Luffy, because he was like, I think Luffy's going to come out of this unscathed, and I think he just wanted to go on the side of whoever comes out unscathed.
I think the good thing... No, it's getting sidetracked from the Crocodile thing.
No,
Luffy gathers people who believe in him.
Yeah, well, Mihawk says, like, the strongest power Luffy has is getting people to follow his dream.
That was at Marineford.
So, and I think that is maybe just an example of that, and maybe not evidence that Crocodile is actually the birther of Luffy. I don't feel super confident in the back half theory, but in the first half theory of the
Crocodile woman?
Crocodile being,
Yep, that's what I believe too.
By Ivankov, I'm going to say that's like an 80% chance of happening.
But being the mum? I don't.
I'm going to say if it is that he is a woman, there's a 1% chance. So of that 80% chance, there is a further 1% chance that it's Luffy's mum. I think Oda could do it just to be funny. Be like, alright, this is a theory that's been around. I don't really ever want to show Luffy's mum. Let's just have this be a random piece of dialogue, maybe after Crocodile has succumbed to something. Maybe they do it, or Oda does it, but I don't see a reason why he would. I think, for the most part, Oda considers Dadan as Luffy's mum, and is just never going to go any deeper than that. I don't think Dragon's going to tell Luffy, like, by the way, your mum is...
How much of an ass pull would it be? It was like, your mum was a...
Celestial dragon.
Or something like was a god in this, like, region.
Yeah, well, look, I think I've brought this up, how I'm afraid of One Piece going down the Bleach path, and I think part of that would be, I've already brought up the connections to the like Monkey D family, Garp and Dragon, and their connections to like Shandorans. It would be pretty crazy, I think, if they were like, and Luffy's mum is maybe even a celestial dragon. Would be maybe the only one that I'll cop, but I don't feel confident about. I think ultimately, like, if Luffy's mum is announced, my guess is Nico Olvia. Now, I can't remember, my math could be wrong, but I can't remember if Robin was about 8. I think she's 10 years older than Luffy, so I think that makes it mathematically impossible. But if it's that Luffy was alive when Robin was, I could see Robin and Luffy being full siblings.
That'd be cute.
Because this is another theory that's not on this list, but I'm sure you've heard. Well, I've gone through it. It isn't. That Dragon is Nico Robin's dad. Because all we know about Nico Robin's father is that he was sailing the world trying to find the poneglyphs or trying to do something of that sort, like working with O'Hara. Now, I think it'd be interesting if Robin and Luffy were siblings. They have really similar, probably the only two. Robin's probably the only character who understands how Luffy's brain works, or like her brain sort of works in the same way. She's obviously just intelligent compared to Luffy, but I could definitely see it, and like the resemblance and with the hair color and just like, yeah, I could say it. It's something I wouldn't be adverse to. I wouldn't be mad at it. I think that'd be one of the last reveals I would really want about the crew. Thoughts?
I'd like that.
You'd like it? Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, okay.
Okay, yeah. Then Robin's just a great crewmate to Luffy, and there's obvious connections with Robin's beliefs and the revolutionaries. Like, Robin is just another conduit. Like, she was there with them on to kill a wolf during the time skip. So it's like, I could see it happening. I could see the connection with the Revs being just a connection of ideology. Could also see it being family ties. Play that Kendrick Lamar song in the background about Drake fucking minors. No,
okay, so Crocodile is Luffy's mum.
Yeah.
No.
No, we're going to say no to that, but we both say yes on Croco woman.
Yes.
Yes.
Your hands are very cold.
They are. I'm incredibly chilly right now.
Do you want to jump on?
No, well, I've gone with the shirt now, so
yes.
I've committed to it. I like showing my shirts off on the pods. I feel like I'm dressed like Sanji during the arcs where he wears Hawaiian shirts. Or Luffy.
Zoro as well?
I feel like Luffy is the number one candidate for
Zoro and
Hawaiian
Sabodi.
shirts. Zoro and Sabodi.
Got the blue one?
Yeah, Sanji and Egghead. Next thing. Rox is Dragon's papa.
Father.
Papa. Monkey D. Garp has never stated the dragon is his son. Now, that has been refuted already because he has now.
Yep.
But they have the same family name. Yes, but in Japanese culture, it's not unheard of for a man to take a woman's family name if her family is of higher status. Now, look, I feel like if we were going down this path, you would have more of the Japanese community being like, yippee. There is another piece of information they've done about it. So, if you don't know, Luffy and Dragon, and I think Garp as well, so this is where the connection falls down, are all listed to be Brazilian in ethnicity if they were to have lived anywhere on Earth. They're all South American, and Rox is apparently Brazilian as well. Now, it's a pretty loose connection. I think it's more just like probably
It's been disproven, so
yeah, ba-bow, and the whole Brazilian thing, that's pretty weak. Law will make Luffy immortal, so I'm going to assume this is using the Obi Obi no Mi's not immortality surgery, because that's not what it is. It's eternal youth. perpetual youth. So you can still die. You're not immortal. You're just not going to age or get sick from aging or anything like that.
I don't think Luffy would want this.
I don't think Luffy would want this one bit. And what would it do to serve the story? Like, you end the story and it's just like, now Luffy is immortal and is just free.
Or does he become the villain?
Well, I think inevitably. I think
constant...
immortality inevitably will bring about an era of you becoming an oppressor if you're that strong.
What if Emu was Joy Boy? What if Emu is Joy Boy? And it's a constant cycle of someone frees the world, becomes immortal, gets to a point where they just go crazy and they're like, no, I have to control everything.
I would be fine with that. I think the puck needs to stop with Luffy. I think Luffy needs to be like, I want to die. No, I don't like it.
Yep.
Ba-bow.
Ba-bow.
Ba-bow. I'm
Number
skipping
7.
that one straight away. Number 7. Shanks and Luffy will have a Davy back fight. I'm all in on this. 100%. 100%. I think there was no point to the Davy back fight being introduced if we're not going to use it again. There's 2 crews I think it could realistically happen with. Could realistically happen with Shanks' crew, and then the what is Shanks' pirate crew called?
Redhead Pirates?
Redhead Pirates. They become a part of the Grand Fleet. I could see that happening, but the fact that the Grand Fleet isn't, what would you say, an official group that Luffy represents, it's a group of people that want to follow Luffy, but Luffy doesn't care.
But what is a Davy back fight in One Piece? Because we saw, like, I feel like the last time we saw something like this
It was Foxy. Remember the Foxy arc?
Maybe I don't know what a Davy back fight is.
Davy back fight is, you remember the Foxy arc, Long Ring Long Land, which I actually have a theory personal that I want to go from there. Long Ring Long Land is the island that the water goes down and then you can cross the path and then it goes up for like 8 years. Every time there's an Aqua Laguna, you can pass to the next mountaintop. But it's where you get 3 fights and winner takes the other pirate crew's Jolly Roger and they can do whatever they want to it. But within those fights, there are like, you've got to bet something for each battle. So it was like one battle, it was like Chopper was up for grabs and they lost and Chopper goes in. I think they ended up doing best of 5, not best of 3. But basically it's just like a resource, a way to make it so that it doesn't go to full all-out war for a resource fight. So it's basically a challenge that Foxy used because he was so much weaker than everyone, but he had
tricks
because he had that devil fruit that could slow everyone down, which is probably one of the most... Yeah, I think it was that. I think he's that one. Yeah, he would do that. He had the boxing match with Luffy. They played, I think, soccer at some point or something similar to that. Now,
I think I've had it in my head that a Davy back fight was a pirate fight, like on a ship.
No. Davy back fight is like a structured event where it's like both captains basically go at it using their crew in games that are chosen by, you know, the captain or whatever.
So I don't see this happening then.
See, no, this is where I think it does happen because we had it once with Foxy in a very low scale, like ultimately what felt like manga filler in a weird way because there's just no real story getting built on at that moment if we don't use the Davy back fight. Now, if you'll allow me to pivot into my own personal theory about the Foxy Pirates and specifically Long Ring Long Land. Now, I don't know if you remember much about Long Ring Long Land. It was a place where everything is stretchy.
Mm-hmm. Remember they saw that reindeer and
the reindeer
Luffy was
and
like,
Luffy's like, Chopper, it's your cousin. Hilarious.
Yep.
So funny. Everything's free there. Luffy says he feels more free than ever there. I think Long Ring Long Land is where the One Piece is.
Talk to the people.
I think Long Ring Long Land
Talk to the people.
is where the One Piece is. I'm talking to the people. I'm talking to everyone. Your people.
Co-host.
Now, the theory on this is pretty much only backed by the description of the island, how Luffy feels and how everyone is stretchy, everyone is free. My idea is that maybe before the flooding, Joy Boy ripped the floor up into 8 mountaintops that were above the flooding water. And then with the Aqua Laguna, he ripped it up in a way that, you know, people could traverse between each mountaintop. So I think he just stretched the island to its peak to then allow it just to be accessible. And the center of the island is where the One Piece is, but on the floor. On the, like, wherever the original land mass began is where the One Piece is. And you probably need an Aqua Laguna to be able to access it. There isn't a ton much more than that. I think it would be silly to see an island that is in canon during one of the most inconsequential arcs that is described to have all the features of what we now know is the Sun God Nika Fruit's abilities imposed onto it and not think that there is connections to a previous Sun God. Whether it is that the One Piece is there, or whether it's that the island or the landmass below was where the ancient kingdom was, or maybe it was just the original Joy Boy's hometown, or maybe it was the original Nika's hometown, or something. Like, I tend to think it's probably Joy Boy related because of the fact that it's so perfectly just above where the water flooded to, which also then means that Joy Boy was aware of the flooding attempt by Emu, which helped sculpt the narrative in some way regarding that stuff. But I do think there is a possibility that it is connected to Joy Boy. I'm gonna just leave it there, and when I'm correct, I'm gonna celebrate like it's 1995. What was that song? I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Alright then. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see another Davey back fight.
You don't think we're going to see another debut backfire? All right. Well, in this case, I'm going to say there's a 70% chance. Oh, I also think I did say 2 crews. First crew being Redhead Pirates, second crew being
Straw Hat.
Was Straw Hats, but versus
Blackbeard.
No, the other Yonko Buggy's crew.
Cross Guild.
Cross Guild. I could see it being used to fight the Cross Guild.
I just don't see it happening.
You don't see it coming back at all. Fair enough.
Because Foxy used it because he knew his crew was weaker.
Yeah, but I guess it could be a way of making powerful crews not... It's a way for Oda to write a battle between powerful crews without having any losses in firepower when inevitably they have to take on the world government. I could see the One Piece being won by a Davy back fight. The last road poneglyph being held by a Davy back fight. All good?
Is this still working? Yep, all good.
Yep. I could see it coming back, but yeah, at the same time, it may have just been something that Oda did once, had an idea for, went, I actually don't really like this idea, I'm never going to use it again. That's always a possibility too. I think he may have made it as just like a way of doing an inconsequential little arc. But if that's the case, I think that is more evidence that he just used that as a silly little way to have an inconsequential arc, but where the arc was is consequential, and that's why, again, that freedom, that elasticity, the stretching, I think there is connections to Joy Boy or Nika.
It's interesting.
On that island. But you're a no, I'm a yes, but I would say a tentative 60% yes, not like a huge one.
Oh, that's
Number
next
6.
one. You mentioned this.
I have mentioned this. Law is a member of Sword. So, Law was obviously raised predominantly by Corazon.
Which stands for, in Spanish?
I don't know.
Heart.
Heart. Beautiful.
What's the Law's pirate crew's name?
The Heart Pirates.
Cute.
Corazon was a member of Sword, and had very deep connection to Sengoku.
Yep.
I think was a dear friend of Sengoku. So it would make sense to me that this is the issue. Upon Corazon's death, Law goes straight back to Dressrosa, no? And joins Doflamingo's crew. So unless there was, like, obviously, how did he get to Dressrosa? Could have been the Marines. The Marines could have been like, hey, Sengoku picks him up. He goes, you're now a member of Sword, and your first mission is you're going to get raised by the Doflamingo pirates, which would make a lot of sense. And I guess there is that gap in travel that you could use to be like, see, that's when he did it. I think that one makes sense. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I like this one.
I like this one a lot too. Now, does Law's ambition beyond Dressrosa, because like Law's goal was to take down a Yonko. It wasn't to take down Doflamingo. He just went through Doflamingo because he knew that was the quickest way to Kaido, who was, he was like, that's the Yonko I want to take on, Kaido, because if you can take the strongest one out of the picture, you're immediately the strongest one, or one of the strongest ones. So that does make sense, and maybe he only chose Kaido because he knew Doflamingo was attached to him, so that could have also been that. If Doflamingo was partnered with Big Mom, maybe it could have just been that he was after Doflamingo first, and would just go after any Yonko that was attached to him. But at this point, I'm sort of struggling to see a reason why it would be necessary to have him be a part of Sword.
Yeah, I think we've had too many Sword people revealed now. I think in early stages of Sword, prior to this battle on Hachinisu, it was cool, but now we've just seen too many people, and I think it is just an offshoot of the Marines.
Is X-Drake strong enough to be the leader of it, though?
No.
Do you think Garp is the leader of Sword?
Yeah.
Unofficially? That's how I imagine it. And I think it was probably the offshoot that Sengoku and Garp probably created. Initially, I would like to think maybe to keep Dragon as a part of their forces. Sengoku being Buddha and Garp being a D has always made it feel like...
Boo, DR.
I don't get it.
Like Buddha? But put in the D. Boo, DR.
Yeah. Boo D, ha.
Get it? It's another D confirmed.
Third D. I don't know. How many D's are there? There's a lot of...
3 of them, apparently.
Apparently 3. I don't know where I got 3 from. Nefertari D, Lily, Vivi, and Nefertari D, whatever
Emu.
the dad's name
Cobra.
is. Cobra.
That's it.
And then this is the third D announced.
So you just named 3 and
Just
you're like,
those
and there's
3.
another 3.
These are the only 3 that have ever been announced. Ignore Marshall D teacher, right?
Monkey D Luffy.
Well, that one was
Monkey
there from the beginning.
D Dragon.
It did always feel like during the Great Pirate era with Sengoku and Garp, they weren't maybe as harsh towards pirates as... Or maybe they weren't as, like, in the pocket of the world government as Akainu seems to be.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think they're much of the same?
Well, no, I think Akainu might flip.
I think the world government's going to lose the Marines. I think the Marines aren't going to follow the world government, but I don't think Akainu will flip.
Well, I think not like flip from the Marines, but he'll flip from the world government. Just the way he reacted to the events of
Egghead
and Egghead's speech about it all. Like, Akainu seemed like he was learning a lot of this for the first time, and he wasn't happy.
Yeah, that is true.
Because he's the sense of, what is it, strong justice, or like...
Yeah, I think strong justice was his thing, which would make sense. his form of justice, but he also is just so deeply repellent to pirates.
But maybe he's just been so blind by doing good. Like, he's like, I'm a Marine, that's good. Pirate bad. Like, it's just so fundamentally.
It's very black and white for him. Well, yeah, obviously it could be that. And then Oda would have a really beautiful...
maybe he's the Judas.
Oh, that's good. Oda would have a really good way of, like, writing in the effects of propaganda through that. Because, like, we already know propaganda exists. Germa 66, Oda's touched on his opinions of it. Germa 66 is considered a heroic organization despite their countless ethical and morally bad, like, behaviors. But because they have the comic book... wait, no, they're seen as the villain in that comic book.
Who's the hero?
Sora, who's a Navy member. So no, what I was about to say is just immediately wrong.
Alright, so Law, a member of Sword.
Law, a member of Sword.
Nah.
I'm going to say no, like 25% no. I'm
Like,
not,
he could be, but yeah, what does it do for the story?
What's it do for the story? Like, it would have to mean... The only reason I could see it happening would be post... epilogue of the whole series when they're rebuilding an law and order sect of the world, that Sword would then bring in a guy like Law. But then at that point, I feel like he's just going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, once the story's over, for me, Law just makes sense to become a doctor. And imagine the good he could do, just traveling the world, using room on an island and being like, and everyone's healthy.
Ooh.
Done. Yeah, okay. So we're both... Blackbeard will eat 3 devil fruits. I'm big on this one.
The whole beard.
The whole 3... Just the amount of 3s.
The Jolly Roger.
The Jolly Roger, the beard, the guns, the sashes, I believe he has 3 sashes on. The fact that he's been able to eat 2 devil fruits and he's been hunting out more. He's been able to utilize the power of
2.
2.
We haven't seen. We never see him eat
3 rings on each finger, I think, on each hand as well.
That's bowler. I got 2 on one hand.
2 on one thumb. This guy doesn't have enough fingers.
But this one says something. So he's already got 2 different types of devil fruits.
Yep. Paramecia.
Logia.
But a special Logia and the strongest Paramecia.
And then here on the WatchMojo.com website, a mythical Zoan, and they're theorizing Cerberus.
Can't be.
Because
Sword.
Cerberus
Shamrock
is right
sword.
here.
Damn! Shamrock Sword is also a Cerberus.
Oh, I got a dry tattoo.
Nice.
Do you ever know that?
I've seen you in shorts before.
Did you know it was a Cerberus?
I've never really studied your tattoos, to be honest.
Look at me.
Give me your attention.
This is where I have to stand up and punch you for the beginning of the intro.
What if I just spit? What if I just spit all over you with my water? That was shot just for the intro. We love that. But yeah, so Cerberus is off the table. What else has 3? A
Hydra.
cow has 3
Udders.
stomachs.
Is it 5?
Maybe. I
thought
don't
they
know.
had, like,
Yeah,
10.
probably 5. Probably like 17. I don't know.
Hydra?
That was Orochi's, no?
Was that a Hydra though, or was it?
Great point. I don't know. I think he will get a 3rd. I don't know if it's going to be... I think if it is a Zoan... See, my thinking is that it will... The Yami Yami no Mi is more likely to be a Zoan, a mythical Zoan, than... Because there was a theory that you wanted to bring up. Yami Yami may be a mythical Zoan because...
The Gomu Gomu no Mi, or
Yep.
whatever it's called,
Yep.
resembles the Yummy Yummy no Mi. Boom, here.
Yeah. You're going to see that there.
You got the smooth one.
You got the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika.
Oh, Hito, that's it, sorry.
And then you've got the Yami Yami no Mi, which looks disgustingly similar, but with just spiky.
Spikes.
Yeah, it's basically Luffy's fruit, but the curls are spiky instead of smooth.
Yeah.
Now, I did bring up this in our personal conversation. It could just be this is Oda being like, and these two characters are two sides of the same coin. Even they eat similar devil fruits. It could also be a Hito no Mi model something. But I just don't really want any more fruit reveals. I think the last one I would accept would be Chopper's. But I've already said this to you. I think it would make more sense for Chopper to have the base Hito no Mi. Just the human fruit.
Thank you for bringing Chopper up, and then also bringing up Drum Island, which Blackbeard was also at Drum Island.
At Drum
causing
Island.
a ruckus. Was he trying to find a Hito no Mi?
I think so. My personal opinion was he went to Drum Island to find the Hito no Mi.
But this would have been after he'd already...
Yummy, yes, because he didn't make his first move at all until he killed Thatch for the Yummy. And we already know that Shanks thought Blackbeard was like, there was something going on as a kid. He was like, I don't like that guy.
Like he doesn't sleep.
He doesn't sleep. There's weird things about him. I think there's a very strong chance that he was after Hito no Mi. Now, would you think it's a special version of a Hito? Like it's a specific model?
I don't know. It's so weird because it's shadows. Or not shadows, but darkness.
Oh, no. Chopper's fruit.
Oh.
Do you think that's a special version of the Hito human fruit? Or is that a...
Just a human?
Just the human fruit. Because I personally think it's the human fruit. And I know some people are like, we've never seen a Hito no Mi without a model. And it's like, well, yeah, we have. It's Chopper's. And I think the reason I think that is because Chopper can pretty much, with his rumble balls, just create new points, like new powers, basically. He can enhance whatever the hell he wants.
We don't think it's like a model Wendigo?
It could be, but I just think with like... It could also be like a model forest god or model...
Yeah, is this the forest god fruit?
It could be, but my explanation on what this fruit is...
Keep talking. I'm just going to Google Wendigo because I don't know... Like, is that a...
I think the Wendigo... Yeah, no, we're good. I think the Wendigo is like a Native American folklore. I don't think it's human. I think it's supposed to be like a wolf or something that, skin crawler, skinwalker thing. But my explanation for that would be with the amount of points Chopper has is the fruit's ability is the ability to be whatever it wants. To be any human it wants. Because I think Oda just loves dreams and he loves being like encouraging people to follow their dreams. So if you have the human fruit, basically your powers are limitless because you can be anyone you want to be. And that's why, Chopper can change shapes and change forms so easily. He uses the rumble ball, but I think that's just because he doesn't have a good enough grasp of his ability to be able to change it automatically. But now you'll see he'll go from like monster point to guard point to ball point to like whatever without eating one, where he unlocks them by eating rumble balls and then trying something new. Rumble ball is basically just instant power up, like instant training. He doesn't have to train for a new form. But I think reality is he doesn't have a limit on his forms because that's what the human fruit is. It is the ability to be whatever you set your dreams and desires to be. And also he said if a human eats it, it makes them more human. What does that mean? Again, I think that's an explanation that would work for humans if they ate it. They can just change into whatever form of human.
Like super person.
Well, it can basically, similar to Bonnie's ability, where she's like, a timeline where I trained arms all the time, and she gets buff arms. It's like a version of me where I'm really good at karate, and then he's got karate point. A version of me where I'm a monster, then he's got monster point. A version of me where I have the best defense, guard point. Like, I think that's how I see his fruit. And it's the fact that it doesn't have a model is the reason he's able to do so much. Blackbeard 3 devil fruits.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a tentative yes. I think yes. I think the symbology for 3s makes sense. I also follow that theory on with
And 3.
the 3s.
It's the magic number. Yes, it is. I don't know if I can sing anymore. A little bit. We're not gonna get copyrighted.
Not gonna get it. It's a cover. It's a cover. No copyright.
No, I think it's bad.
You're allowed to cover things.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not.
Anywho, Googled it. Wendigo is
Digital
just
right.
a cannibalistic beast.
Yeah. No, I was like,
No
when you said
problem.
Wendigo, I was like, brother, I think we're on something different.
Wendigo, fuck yourself, Death.
Wendigo, keep your mouth shut. Wendigo, and keep your mouth shut, brother. No, but
Keep my pet's name out your motherfucking mouth.
do you think
Chop is a
Blackbeard
pet.
has maybe like multiple souls in his body?
I don't know.
You don't like that theory? The they scene
Very interesting.
just out the front of the we saw it like
We
a
saw
few
that.
weeks ago. They were here like 2 years ago. Those kids.
Yeah, what was the doctor handing out apples?
I know. So I saw some geezer eat one. Blew up. Dead.
What the hell? Because this is
I don't know any doctors that do that.
The Mocktown podcast
Yeah,
that
we're
is
in
filmed
Mock-
in the Mocktown
Pub. It's just called pub.
pub
Pub. It's filmed
with
in
Cherry
pub.
Pies.
Theory number 4.
I don't give a fuck about this theory.
Hidden in the left eye. Again, it does start off by saying this is a complex theory.
I believe we've talked about this.
Yeah, well,
Zorro's left eye.
Zorro's left eye. Well, just the general left eye symbolism. The scar underneath. Luffy's, Sanji's eyebrow only switching over on the left eye. Mihawk, I think, has like something on his left
Garp's
eye.
got a scar.
Garp's
Dragon's
on
got the
Dragon's
tattoos.
got tattoos. Like everyone who has damage, Shanks,
Jimbo's got something.
Jinbei, everyone who has damage on their left eye, or they have noticeable features on their left eye. And I think a lot of people then connect that to the fact that Jaya is missing its left eye. Yeah. So
What?
I think it was Shandora was originally the like bottom half of the jaw of a skull. Jaya is an island. We'll pop that up here. Jaya is an island shaped like a skull, missing its left eye.
Oh, yes.
So the left eye is inherently the One Piece or some historical place. There's a chance. There's a lot of left eye symbolism. Every third volume, it feels like Oda is covering the center character's left eye.
But it also could just be a stylistic choice.
It could be a stylistic
likes.
choice, yeah. It could be that. I think there is something to do with like Zoro's eye, and
I don't know. Oda himself doesn't have a fucked left eye.
maybe he does. We haven't seen him in like 20 years.
We see a photo of him. That's not that one photo that they shared a bit like.
Yeah.
You see a photo of him now. He's fucking fish head.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Like we don't know what Oda looks like.
What if he's got?
now.
He's been having health issues. What if he's got a fucked left eye and he's just incorporated it into his characters?
Maybe he has. Honestly, I don't know. I don't really care about this one.
Like, can you freak out in front of the camera and I can add that to the intro as well?
Left eye. Left eye.
And that's what the Rizzler does.
I'm not putting that as a thumbnail again.
Alright, number 3.
The red line will be destroyed.
Yep.
X marks the spot.
Gotta do something parody.
Got to do some parody. How are they going to get to LeBron? What, are you going to tell me they're going to get all the way to the end of the red line?
Have you seen Free Willy when he jumps over?
I don't think LeBron can do that because he would have done it already.
No one's ever given him the hope.
This show is all about hope.
We're 40 minutes in. Should we just speed
Speed through this one? Yeah, no worries.
Red line will be destroyed. Yes, I think we've talked about that
Yeah.
as well because it'll be a way to achieve everybody's dreams.
Yep.
Sanji's dream is the all blue. What is the all blue? It's all the oceans
It's
connecting.
connected.
Red line
That's where
destroyed.
the old line gives you access to LeBron for the Brooks Stream. Zoro, the world's greatest
He's gotta chop it
swordsman
up.
right
He's gotta
now,
cut it up,
the
fighting
world's
the
greatest swordsman right now is the Red Line.
Number 2.
Mihawk's a faker. Number 2, Luffy's hidden dream.
Oh, here we go.
Luffy declares his dream in a flash. Same dream is similar, however.
They've got
the world's biggest party.
Okay, fuck that. That's stupid.
That one, yeah, I don't think that's it either.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions.
I'm all in on the first one. Buggy will become Pirate King.
Yep, he keeps failing upwards.
He fails upwards. My theory is Luffy becomes Pirate King, achieves his then hidden dream, and then probably dies end of series, and Buggy becomes King of the Pirate.
See, I think Luffy becomes Pirate King, but it's the news is spread that Buggy is the real Pirate King.
I could see it also being like everyone thinks it's Buggy and it's actually Luffy, and then it becomes that Luffy becomes it.
Buggy's running cross guild, but he's not.
But he's not. And I could say I don't think Luffy's in it for the fame, so I could actually see him not being super bothered by Buggy being the Pirate King, even though it's him. Shanks is a celestial dragon.
Sorry, I thought these honorable mentions were for theory Luffy's dream.
No. Shanks is a celestial dragon. This one's been proved.
Boom.
He is. Rox formed his crew with the Davy back fight. That makes sense. How did he get Whitebeard, Kaido, Wang Ji from all accounts and purposes pretty good.
He would have been like, you guys want to do something cool?
That's
like
also
George
makes
Clooney,
sense.
In that heist movie.
Ocean's 11.
Well,
that makes the most sense. Is that, which we've spoken about, him being Dr. Hero look, described as a great thief.
What if we start bringing crazy energy to the podcast?
Yeah, maybe we should. Maybe that's what we need. I don't have it. I don't have crazy energy. I do like that. I did like watching that. It'd be a good music video clip. Yeah, I've brought up the hero look is Zebek theory.
Yep.
I could see him just being charming enough to a bunch of guys to be like, hey, do you guys also hate the fucking world government? Have you guys also heard about what they're doing on that island? On islands every 3 years?
You guys want to...
people? Let's steal them instead. Let's steal those devil fruits instead of letting them fight over them.
You guys want to run around the pool, do something naughty?
Yeah.
Number 1 theory,
Marco
according
Polo.
to WatchMojo.com.
The One Piece is Bing Sake. Now, I think this is not what the One Piece is. I think Bing Sake is just the story of
do you know what
Joy
One
Boy.
Piece is for us?
The friends we made along the way.
Podcast we made along the way.
This is the One Piece.
Oh, baby. I'm basing the clap. That's the clap.
Yeah, that's the clap. You're going to base it off that clap?
I'm syncing all the audio off that clap. God damn, look at that spike.
Yeah, I know, that's real.
Fucking...
Well, so Bing Sake isn't the One Piece. It is
devil fruit. We just made that fucking clap.
Hell yeah. Earthquake.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
this
believe in
sucks.
it.
This one sucks. Damn.
All right, Watch Mojo. You a shit. Doing
You're
another
shit.
one. That would have been cool 3 years ago.
And we're gonna speed run this one as well. We got CBR's one, comic book reference or whatever it is, comic book reference. The first one, hockey can damage Logia types. That's
what the fuck?
How old is this? What happened in
number 9, the apology of Joy Boy. What? Keep going.
Oh no, this is Revelations that have changed. This is not what I.
Anyway, I'm gonna start opening some cards.
There we go. 10. The world, as Van Auger would say, Joy Boy left behind the entire planet to explore. Shit. The One Piece is a golden opportunity for a joke. Luffy would have a ball of a time with this treasure. Joy Boy once had a giant set of golden balls. Wrong.
Just keep reading.
Wrong. A superhero comic brought to life. Now, I like this. The One Piece is a storybook. That idea, I'm all for it. It's a kid's book. What better way to teach history than to the youngest people in the easiest way
we're doing 2 segments at once. Now you've read that. All right, so these first 8, we've seen them before, but the new one is Don Quixote Rosinante or Corazon and the
baby.
Peak.
Damn, I love these white, cards where they're,
Anywho, Saxon, back to this.
On the road to Emerald City. Emerald City gets brought up by Enel. Bellamy. And it's actually where the One Piece is what they're saying. I don't like it.
All right, I'll read
Go
the next
away.
ones. You open a card pack.
All right.
I like this chaos. We got number 6, Lost History in Written Form. What? The One Piece could be the poneglyph to end all poneglyphs. Well, isn't that the fucking point of it? No. Well, sometimes the simple answer works best when dealing with complex riddles. The fact applies to one particular popular fan theory. They spelled fan wrong. How do you mess that up? Which states the One Piece is the ultimate poneglyph, or the poneglyphs are part of whatever the One Piece is. Roger did collect several rare treasures and place them all together. Did he? Is that confirmed that he did that?
No.
It's not. And knowledge is certainly power when the government wants to keep everything in the dark. This is a fan theory that spans multiple decades, to the point that it really can't be traced to one individual. That fucking sucks. Number 5, all sins bear... Okay, we got something.
We got Shiny Brook.
Oh,
Pull it for me.
Shiny Brook, and we got the One Piece. Isn't that what fucking who's the soccer player?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
No, he says Suey.
Oh, okay.
Suey.
Man, what is this?
I actually really like that card.
Sweet.
Us. I think it's saying us. All sins bear fruit in this world. Devil fruits must have an origin point in the series. Somewhere in love, there may be a devil fruit tree lying somewhere in Laughtail. Wrong. Devil fruits were created by the ancient kingdom. Actually, one step better. The devil fruits were created on the moon. And I'm actually, you know what? These theories all suck. Actually, to the moon and back. The One Piece treasure may not even be in the world. That was the next theory. And with that, I'm gonna transition into
Yeah,
Enel's
we
cover
got
story.
Shiny Zoro, which we already
Row,
got.
row, no row.
And we got this Tony Chopper.
Got a shiny Tony.
Yep.
That's Anthony for you. Anthony.
Anthony
So I'm
Soprano
gonna
Chopper.
quickly let's run through Enel's cover story.
Bop, 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 bop,
He
bop,
goes
bop.
to Fairy Verth, aka the moon. He gets there. It's empty.
Wait, let's
He
get
looks-
crazy for this one. Let's just don't sit on the cards. PSA 10 still, don't worry about it.
A hole with signs of life, and then he sees some automata. Someone's in the hole. He shocks them. Attack first, think later. What a shame, it survived. The automata is thankful for no reason. He then goes, First Lieutenant Spacey regrets running away from the enemy, and he's going back to fight. He goes to his other autonoma friends on the former battlefield. They're dead. We got a little knight, we got a little soldier, we got another little soldier, and then we got a samurai.
Bushido.
Then someone else is here. Ooh, we got the First Lieutenant Spacey defeated by a space pirate.
A space pirate.
One thing I did notice about this, little space pirate. Sure, there's a better one. He attacked Enel. Enel drops him, but look at that little Jolly Roger. Notice anything about the head? It is a really long head. Now, we already know that Vegapunk isn't a part of like a long head tribe, which we initially thought, but that is just, in fact, how his brain is shaped because of the fruit. Does that mean the space pirates were sent by either Vegapunk or a former user of the brain fruit?
Interesting.
It would make sense that that was something he did, sending people up to the moon to be like, to research it. You know, that especially if he was able to make a biological or even non-biological organism to do that. But basically, said space pirate, gets wiped, and then there's an explosion. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
My Verth, unbridled rage. Enel wasn't happy about that. And then we see the space pirates meet to excavate the moon ruins. And what do we see in the background?
Big old snake.
A big old worm. A big old worm character. It does have arms, unlike the celestial dragon. But I do personally think this may be what that power is based on, which maybe suggests that it is a devil fruit power that they all have. They all have devil fruit powers. And that's just a Zoan of that moon worm.
Load 23 more images.
This is a long one. Then they...
We should
God's Arrival.
should have screen recorded this because I'm going to have to...
Yeah, that's a you problem, buddy.
Yep.
You want to do the editing?
I like that little bird man.
I also like this little bird man, little duck fella.
Actually, maybe these are all... Yeah, Vegapunk creations.
Yeah, right? I could see this being Vegapunk creations. The ship is a little bit too uniquely designed that maybe they are biological creatures that, just live on the moon, but I don't know. We see flashback. Born that day on Karakuri Island, we find out the automatas, whatever they are. The little robot fellas were created on the island that Vegapunk grew up on and were made by the guy who Frankie trained from during the... did all his science lessons from during the time skip, I think. Watching the moon with Professor Tsukimi. That's when they see the explosion. While watching the moon explodes. And then, suffocated by moon-watching dumplings, a tearful goodbye. What was his name? Professor Tsukimi died eating rice balls. R.I.P. the goat. That's when the Autonoma went up.
See, this is where things get crazy for me because they're just catching balloons.
They're catching balloons up there. So it says that there's no issue with atmosphere. Now they are robots, so theoretically they could, but they wouldn't constantly go up if we were in a vacuum of space. So clearly,
is the moon closer than we think? Is it something that is accessible?
I would suggest it's closer than we think, and it's accessible, and it was pretty easy for Enel to get there. Avenging the Professor. There are times when a man has to do what a man has to do. Basically, they were going up against the space pirates. They lost. Regret, the space pirates were too strong. Bari Bari. God's Judgment. Bari Bari, I believe that's the name of Enel's fruit. Basically, lightning strikes the city. God's Judgment comes in. Enel wiping the space pirates yet again. Pretty upset about it. Insolence. He's got a moment. Have you ever seen that photo Oda drew of Enel with his do-rag off?
Does he have...
He has curly brown hair.
Yeah.
It's funny as. Thank you for avenging our dear professor, the Autonomous says to Enel. Enel, for the time being, an attack. He hits him again. What the space pirates dug up, Enel's going in beneath the surface of the moon. And he sees an underground city floats in the dark.
Looks quite ancient.
It looks quite ancient. And, it's pretty square. It's obviously got architecture similar to Shandora, just not gold. But also, I think it looks like the city that was in the mural episode that we that sparked this inspiration of the first world was the moon. Let's go ahead and attack the city. Let's just set it alight. Oh, it's turned on the ancient city. And power is so
Who do we see?
And we're seeing a bunch of new automata that look exactly like the one that we're getting made at Karakuri Island by Professor
They have one
Tsukimi.
extra feature.
A little mustache.
Wings.
Wings. Oh my god, yes. I was like, mustache? I thought the other ones had mustaches. Wings. Yes, of course. So, we already know that Lunarians came from the moon, and we think Shandorans and Skypeans did too. So, that would make sense. Ooh. Could that be a tank for the Mother Flame? Very similar to the tank for the Mother Flame. You will see it. The question mark. Okay, so what that was before was just an explanation mark with the 3 dots from his on there. Yeah, he sees them. All right, conveyor belts. What do we see in the mural bottom right corner?
Conveyor belts.
We see conveyor belts. Studying the wall painting.
There's that circular. People. Sorry, studying the moon paint. Yep, that circular thing again with a light inside it.
Circular thing with light inside of it.
Life.
Yeah, sort of looks like a flower as well. Now, also, we got sky pans with the little head things. We got the Shandorians with the head mask, and I would assume this would be Birkins. We don't really have any evidence of that being a Birkin. Now, the 3 earrings, identical to Zoro's 3 earrings.
Oh.
Could he be part Birkin? Birkin's been destroyed, remember. The only remaining one is Arouge and Enel. Enel and Arouge are the only 2 Birkins remaining. So we don't know. Maybe there's connections to the Birkins and Zoro? No?
We know he's got connections to Wano.
Yeah, we do.
I don't think they'll go any further than that.
Yeah, that's fair. Alright, let's have a look at this mural. We're extending the mural a little further. The Moon City was also named Burka. So Burka was the Moon City, and then the island of Burka was also... Or am I thinking of a different island? The island that Arouge is from, that Enel destroyed. What island did Enel destroy?
You keep reading these things
you
out.
do that. The Moon City, lacking natural resources, they flew to the blue planet, which we've now called Blue Star. I'm noticing on this there is a giant lobster, which obviously
Classic.
there's a giant lobster in Skypiea that carries the crew that Enel uses. Oh, what's that little eyeball thing? That floating little eye thing?
It's a spooky little thing.
That's a spooky little thing. We got fire in the center of a star. We got a conveyor belt making the automata. Why are the automata? Why is everyone crying? Everyone's eyes are like shaped like when they're crying.
Oh, Urog originating from an unidentified sky island.
Ah, okay. Looking back, he sees a vast land of Earth and a horde of loyal subordinates. Yep. Full tank of fuel, the Enel army stands tall. So Enel got what he wants. He's powered on the city. Now, I think the city being powered on, especially by a spherical glass ball, for me, it's screaming Mother Flame. And this is screaming ancient technology. For me, this could either be the First World or the Ancient Kingdom itself. Which would you suggest it is?
I like the Ancient Kingdom.
Yeah?
Because, in a world like One Piece where it's pirate world, so everything is explored, how would people not be able to find an Ancient Kingdom? Or remnants of an ancient kingdom. It just wasn't on Earth.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It makes a lot of sense.
Hide that nipple.
That's so funny. It makes complete sense that this would be the place, and we're at a point now in One Piece where we can sort of guess that the Ancient Kingdom, it's either down below or up top.
Yeah.
It can't be. Although, do you think the One Piece is where the Ancient Kingdom is?
No, I think they're disconnected.
Disconnected. Okay, that makes this easier. An Ancient Kingdom, we have seen it on a map, but the issue is, I think it could be still the moon, and then the One Piece is where just like a different place, and that would lend into the fact that I think the One Piece is going to be in the middle of Long Ring Longland. Yeah, this is really interesting. Actually, I think this may just be the Ancient Kingdom. I think the moon is the Ancient Kingdom, and Enel's powered it on, and we've gotten the history of the Ancient Kingdom from the Ancient Kingdom. I also feel like these cover stories, even though we're seeing it with the Yamato one being a little bit pointless, they always end up at the end having a point. They always tell a piece of the story that Oda is unable to tell in the actual manga.
Yeah.
Something that he doesn't want to dedicate a chapter to, he can put as a cover story spread over 20, 30 chapters. So I can definitely see this being the Ancient Kingdom.
It's very interesting. Very
The
interesting.
Ancient Kingdom could very well be this.
Enel's cover story.
And
Had it
that's
all.
Enel's cover story.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. And we're going to do the last pack. This
Blah, blah,
puppy's
blah, blah,
mine.
blah, 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 blah. Sarah Michelle Gellar explains why Buffy reboot is needed now more than ever. Crikey.
Not enough vampire shows.
Not enough vampire shows, as Saxon says. Wow, what a podcast. Wow, what a break week. What an excellent break week. There's so many things happening, but also so many things not happening. Oh, alright.
We excited for the next one? You pull.
Oh, I pull. Oh, we're doing it. Old school way. Yep. Oh my god.
That
That fucking dude again. Soga King. Sick. Fake Straw Hat Crew. Yep. Cool. Megalon. Yep. Cool. That bitch. Cool. Dropped a bunch. Jonathan.
we got Jury Bonnie.
Usopp. Ba 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 ba. And Usopp.
We got a special shiny Usopp and a shiny Jury Bonnie.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ah, the pizza looks so good there.
That does look good. The Usopp one is
Syrup Village Usopp.
disappointing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Syrup Village Usopp.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, I think I'm excited for Elbaph to be back. Hopefully we don't have another single chapter then break week. Hopefully we get a couple in a row. Then again, I feel like this year we may have been a little bit spoiled on our releases compared to former years. We've
Yes.
had a couple 4-chapter runs.
Look, things were getting so spicy, we decided to make a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Because no one else is.
No one... It's actually crazy. Such a big series
We're like,
and not
oh my
a single person
How
online is
is
talking about
no
it.
one doing a One Piece podcast right now?
No One Piece podcast, no One Piece YouTubers, no One Piece discussion forums. We had to find all this just by reading.
Yeah. We had to create a subreddit called
We
One
create,
Piece.
yeah, we're the One Piece sub mods. It's pretty crazy that we're here. But, you know, here we are, the first and only One Piece podcast. And we're wrapping up another break week episode.
And if you don't
know
like
what?
our attitude, it's because we're fucking real pirates. We're not afraid to.
Arr, I hate cherry
I
pies.
love cherry pies. I hate drink.
I love drink. Sorry.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I'm Luffy. He's Blackbeard.
Mocktown podcast. We're done for another week. See you next week. And next week, we're going to have a new chapter of One Piece. 1148? 1149.
Boy, you're strong. 11:49.
Peace.
Gotcha. I said catcha, but it sounded like gotcha.
Bada 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 bada.
Oh, we did that last week.
Bada 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 bada.